Hey guys, okay, welcome back. I tried to do a video of two videos to of the build while I was building, and then to edit them on a free video editor software. But unfortunately, the videos are too big, too long, so it wouldn't let me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through how far I am now. I have, with all my, with my car, I ordered all the optional titanium ball studs, okay? These are the ones for the lower arms, okay? And they save about half of the weight. Look, if I look here, these are the upper ones. Okay, these are for the upper arms. These are the steel ones that come with the kit. Okay, now if I do two of them, this is one suspension arm. It's 2.36 grams. Okay, let's put them back on the paper. And these ones, these are titanium ones. Okay, these ones are 1.3 grams, so it saves about a gram per suspension arm. That's quite a lot. With the car, I didn't order the titanium screw set or the aluminium upper screw set because I like the Hero Seco sets, so I went with that. So let's get the weight scale out of the way and we'll get the chassis. Okay, this is as far as I've got. A few points that you need to keep an eye on when you're building the car. The steering goes together really well, but a friend of mine had built one of these before, and what he said he found easier was to build these ball joints, okay, while you're building the steering system, because there's a screw underneath that's quite difficult to get to. I mean, you can probably get through here, but the belt's in the way. So if you build that while it's like on your building on your desk, then you can put the screws in, then just clip the ball joints on later. As you can see with the diff, I did buy the extra aluminium part with a bearing in. So this piece is now over because this doesn't have a bearing in. I Loctited this screw in for the bearing, and this ball joint. Obviously these are all titanium as well, but I Loctite that ball in. When I built my chassis, these screws here, I screwed them in and the top deck was tight. So then I took my my body reamer, and I just reamed the hole out a little bit, just to make some room, so that when you hold it like this with this screw tight, you can then move the top deck backwards and forwards. This one was quite tight. This one was a little bit less so. But what I found as well, when I put the bearings into the steering system, they are really a good fit. They're really tight in. And when I put the screw in, it obviously tightened down onto the bearings, and I couldn't move the steering. So I took this all apart again, and I pressed the bearings and the steering system on my setup plate, and you heard a little click. So the bearing went in further, yeah. And again with this screw, this one was also a little bit tight. So again with the body reamer, just made the hole a little bit wider, and then it flaps around freely, a bit like this. As you can see, I've gone for the white low friction belt, because with the fronties, it's all about rolling resistance. If you've got too much rolling resistance, you're just not going to be able to go with the top guys. So I did that, and what I found was when I did the zero bearing holders, the belt was really tight. I mean, I think now it's still, for my liking, a bit tight, and I've got the 1 in. So what I might do is I might go to the 2, but I'll do that at the weekend. I'm obviously racing at the weekend this weekend, so what I'm going to do is I'll probably go to a 2 after I've run it, and see how the belt stretches in. Other than that, when building this, there is no no other issues. I've got the 0.75 arm bushes in at the front and the 0.25 up at the rear. That's because the setup sheet I'm using came from one of my teammates, and that's his sort of start asphalt setup. I put 100,000 gear diff oil in for this. I've got 2 more diffs that I ordered as well, so I'll build one with 200,000 and one with 300,000. I've got the Iris spur gear. The only thing I forgot to order, was stupid of me, is the plate to move the servo back so I can have my Speedo behind the motor. So I'm going to have to resolder my wires on my Speedo, I think. Not a problem. I hope I've got enough wire, that's all. So that's that set. Now, if I look, this is up to 3.2 in the manual. So apart from the balls are obviously added on. Oh yeah, the bulkheads, they're obviously located with 2 slots and 1 pin. The motor mount is located with 2 pins and 5 screws, or up to 5 screws. I've only put 3 in at the moment. This is obviously for the flex, so you can adjust the flex of the chassis. I'm going to leave it like this for standard. In the instructions it shows to do 1 here and 1 here, but I don't think for the beginning it'll matter. So that's that. But yeah, what I said was these bulkheads, they are really tight into the chassis. It means that they're really in place. There's no movement. So obviously when you start adjusting your upper arms to get the camber caster and everything right, it shouldn't be the bulkheads won't sit obscure on the chassis plate, but they fit really tightly. I had to put my chassis on my glass setup board and really push them through. And then when I got so far, I put the screws in and I tightened the screws up half turn, and then checked to make sure they weren't going in at an angle. I can see a small air gap underneath them. So I think what I'll do on Saturday when I first go to the track is I'll probably do maybe 5, 6, 7 laps, maybe 10, and I'll stop and I'll check all the screws underneath just to make sure that these haven't settled into the chassis with the flex and the movement. There is a little bit of Cyrus play in the bearing holders, but I like this. It just means that the bearings are not gonna tighten up. It seems to run quite freely. Yeah, the bearings are good. I obviously I shake all the grease out of the bearings with a bearing cleaner, and then leave them on paper, and then use some Max Mechler bearing oil. On the rubbers, O-rings for the diff, I use 1-Up Racing blue grease. I've used it for years for my shocks. It's the best oil you can get, for your shocks and for O-rings. So that's that. So this is how far I am with the chassis. And then we started on the suspension arms. Titanium ball here, and in the instructions, you're not supposed to tighten this screw too tight. Yeah, if you give it a little bit too much, this ball now won't move. Yeah, so if you just loosen it off a little bit, yeah, the ball is now, it's difficult to see, you can't really see it, but it just, yeah, it's now, it's still a little bit too tight, but I think what I'll do is I'll give it a Saturday race, and then I'll check all the screws and everything, make sure everything's settling in. Again, I've got all 4 lower arms built. These build exactly the same. You have to build 2 left and 2 right. This is titanium. There isn't a titanium option for this screw, not that I can find. So this is a steel one, and it's also the same as the upper balls for in the upper suspension arm. I couldn't find any titanium version of it, so they're all the steel ones as well. If a titanium one becomes available, or I do find it, I will order it. Now the lower suspension arms, okay, these have got like a little insert that goes in the suspension arm for the pin to alter the width of the car. Yeah, 4 pins. Okay. What I've found is if you get your arm reamer, yeah, and you ream it while it's on the plastic sprue, okay, it's really tight now. It really takes some pushing to get it through, yeah, and you ream it out. But the problem is, yeah, when you put them in the suspension arm and do the pin through, then it's really tight, yeah. But if you do the pins in the arm and then you do your arm reamer through, yeah. Oh, that one came out. Just be a little bit careful. Obviously, I was being a little bit too aggressive there. Push that one back in. Yeah, and then do your arm reamer like that, and then put the pin in like that. Okay, and then get the hoodie tool. Hold the pin here. It's still a little bit tight, but I think that'll race in, you know. It falls under its own weight. It's not as free as I would like. Maybe I'll ream it a little bit more, but I don't want to put too much play in. But that's that. That's the only tip I think I've got so far is don't do these pins, or these pills, sorry, on the sprue. I would put them in the arm and then ream them out. The upper arms, the instructions are really clear. Again, titanium screws in here. This is a stainless one. Again, the same as the lower arm. There's a screw in here, and just yeah, make sure you've got a lot of suspension arm. These, they are free, but they don't fall under their own weight. You get a special tool in on one of the sprues, and here you can turn these. When it goes in, there it is. Yeah, and you loosen and tighten them. If I loosen it anymore, then I'm getting, yeah, I've got a little bit of play in that suspension arm, in that suspension ball. So this one can be, I think, a little bit tighter. It's minuscule. It's just give that a little bit more. Give this one a little bit less. Yeah. Yeah, it just doesn't. But I don't want any play in the suspension. And this one's got a little bit of play still. So I'll just, I mean, you can add these. Yeah, now the play's gone and it still moves. So that's obviously the happy place. This is one suspension arm. Obviously on the instructions, what's really important to note is on the upper arms. Where does it say? I'm just scrolling through the instructions. Yeah, the Iris logo should be at the rear on the front suspension arms. So this is one side, left front, and this is the right front. Okay, this one is also a little bit too tight, but I think, like I say, once I put a few laps on the car, these will free up. There, it's literally it's nothing. And I think what will happen is when all the front suspension is built, so the hubs and the lower arms and the upper arms and everything, once it's all together, it will fall under its own weight when there's a little bit more weight there. I mean, obviously these suspension arms, they're so light, they weigh nothing. So yeah, there's not a lot of weight behind it to pull it down. It's just not, you know. There's no play in this side. And that is up to now everything that I've noticed. This is lovely. This is great. I don't know if it was on my video, but this is the Iris One keyring. So yeah, really nice. Great. It was a little present in the bottom of the box. Nice. Obviously, I ordered everything apart from the servo extender. So I'll probably get that ordered next week. I think there may be some more other bits and bobs that I need, but for this weekend I'll just run the speedo at the back. I saw that Manuel Stankovic, he had his speedo at the back of the servo anyway at ETS last, so I'll run that. Yeah, that's me so far. What I'll do is I'll carry on building, and then when I've got the suspension parts built, and I've got the upper and lower suspension arms on the car, I'll come back with another video. Obviously, I'm the front roll bar is a 1.2, I believe, in the kit. Let's have a quick look what it says here. Yeah, 1.2 is the front roll bar. I've got the 1.0, 1.1 and 1.4 as well. So I shall be building the front end with a 1.0 and the rear end with a 1.4. So when I've got that far, where I've got all 4 suspension arms on and the stabbies on, I'll come back with another build. I'll come back with another video. Let me know if you've got any questions on this video. There will be another video coming soon, and we'll go from there. Yeah, thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye-bye for now.